Coming up on the Paper Talk today, we'll be looking at Joao Neves. He's been linked with Manchester United again. And Bruno Fernandes, his Portuguese teammate, has got something to say about it. Also, we'll have a Jadon Sancho story. Of course, let's get into it. Jay here for Stretford Paddock. This is the Paper Talk. As you can see, I'm outside Old Trafford and the weather, it's all right actually. You might get away with not having your parka. It was raining before, but it's not raining anymore and I can't see any rainbows anywhere. Anyway, let's get into it. Loads of stories, but before we do, make sure you are hitting like, share and subscribe. Bruno Fernandes has been speaking about Joao Neves. He's been linked with Manchester United. Bruno basically said he doesn't know if the rumours are true, but he feels that if they are, or that he feels that Neves is ready to make that step up. So, obviously, he's a very good player. I think Bruno Fernandes says he's an excellent player. We have been linked with him quite heavily. Cracking young midfielder. I think he's 19 years old. Smashing it at Benfica. Very sort of technically gifted. Been getting a lot of praise. And despite the fact he's only 19, he's shown a lot of maturity. Reminds us of a certain teenager we've got here. Can you imagine Kobbie Mainoo and Joao Neves in midfield for Manchester United? I think that'd work very well. Is it going to happen? We'll have to wait and see. But not Florian Pettenberg, Fabrizio Romano was tweeting about that, following on from the quotes from Bruno Fernandes. So we'll have to wait and see if there is anything to happen there. The only fly in the ointment might be the fee it will take to get Neves here to Old Trafford. There were stories doing the rounds a few weeks ago as well, that it could take around 100 million quid to get him to Old Trafford. Now, we know with Ineos, we're looking at this new sort of approach to transfers. We're not, as far as we know, going to have the sort of the strategy, if you can even call it a strategy, of throwing loads of money at transfers some summers and then not the others, buying these big money players, the likes of obviously Lukaku and Pogba and Maguire, who were in and around the sort of world record fees, are going for the sort of, say, the cheaper options, but the options around the £50 million mark seems to be the new approach. But you might have to rethink that for someone like Neves. He is a supreme talent, and if you're looking at challenging the likes of Manchester City and Arsenal and even Liverpool at the top of the table, I know we've just beat Liverpool, but at the top of the table, then can you get away with not buying any big money transfers, big money players? You might have to buy at least one. I've said this before. If you look at City, they had this policy, they spend around 50, 60 million on several players. They very rarely spent 100 million. Then they did on Jack Grealish because they felt like they needed him. Look at Arsenal. They spent over 100 million on Declan Rice. Liverpool have spent big money on the likes of Darwin Núñez, for example. I think he was 100 million euros. Now, United might have to say, OK, we're not going to spend that on a lot of players, but if there's one player out there who could be at the club for a long time and who is at the very, very top of football, then it might be worth it. And I think Neves might be worth it. Get involved in the comments and the chat. Let me know what you think. Do you think we should be going for Neves, or do you think that's a little bit too much? Or do you think we can't even get him? He might not want to come to Manchester United. We don't know. Hopefully, Bruno's whispering in his ear and telling him to come here. Just on Bruno Fernandes as well, he was calling out the yellow card for Amad Diallo, saying that the rule needs to be scrapped. I get that, because it is annoying when you see a player getting booked just for showing emotion, celebrating a goal at the end of the match. I mean, we were all sort of feeling that emotion that Amad Diallo felt. Well, but he probably felt a bit more having actually scored the goal. Watching it was enough. Imagine actually scoring it. Took his shirt off, showed his shirt, his number to the crowd. It wasn't like he was being offensive or anything like that. However, he gets his yellow card, and for him it was his second yellow, and he's sent off. And I don't think he is suspended for the semi-final. I think he's actually suspended for the Brentford game, because the FA Cup, I think it's a little bit different, but gets a suspension to boot. Now, Bruno Fernandes saying, the rule needs to be scrapped. I do get it, right? Because I understand why Diallo got booked. The reason I say I get it, not that I agree with the rule, I don't. I think it's stupid. I understand why Diallo got booked, because it's a rule that's set in stone that referees have to follow. And the reason I understand it is because we've seen it in the past where, I think it was Demarai Gray for Leicester, for example. He took his shirt off to pay tribute to the owners that died in the helicopter crash, and he got booked. And I feel like if you got a blanket rule where everyone gets booked, and then you start saying, well, actually, I'm not going to book Diallo because it's an FA Cup quarter-final, it's against Liverpool, then people are going to say, well, what about Demarai Gray? What about this? What about when someone else pays tribute to someone? I mean, it gets a bit confusing if you start saying, OK, well, this one's allowed, but this one isn't. What I think you need to do is scrap it for everyone who takes the shirt off. Unless they've taken off the shirt and, revealing a blinking EDL badge on the chest, I don't think it matters. I mean, it's not offensive, is it, just to take off your shirt? So, yeah, I think that rule needs scrapping. Let people celebrate. Let's not take the emotion out of football. It is part of the emotion. Taking your shirt off when you've just got a last-minute winner. Come on, man. I think it's one of those rules that needs to go in the bin. A couple of other stories to go through. There's a Jadon Sancho story, of course. I think it was Florian Plettenberg. I get it right this time. He was tweeting about Sancho potentially staying at Dortmund. He said that talks are going to be ongoing in the next few weeks. He also said that the fee might be a sticking point. I think Dortmund are willing to pay around 35 million euros. He says that Sancho's happy there. There are some twists and turns and uncertainties regards to what's going to happen at Manchester United in terms of a new coach. Will a new coach want to keep Jadon Sancho? Will the new owners, or the new part owners, want to keep Jadon Sancho longer term? We'll have to wait and see. But he said there could be some talks on the horizon and that 35 million euros is looking like a fee Dortmund will be willing to pay. Will Manchester United accept that? Obviously, that's a big loss considering we paid, what was it, 73 million pounds for him not that long ago from Dortmund, from the club that won him. But I feel it might be time. Well, I don't feel it might. I feel it is time for Jadon Sancho to move on. I think 35 million euros, yes, it's a bit of a hit, but it's probably worth it. He's on massive money. You get him off the wage bill. You get some money in for him, and you can invest that elsewhere. I don't think Jadon Sancho's got a future at Manchester United Football Club. You may disagree. Get involved in the chat in the comments. Let me know what you think. I saw that, as I said, that was being tweeted. I think it's come out of Sky Germany, being tweeted by Florian Plettenberg. I saw another story as well, just about Hannibal Mejbri doing the rounds. Hannibal Mejbri's gone to Sevilla, had a bit of a disastrous loan spell there. I think he's played about 89 minutes in total in the time he's been there. There was a buyout clause, I think, for 15 million quid. That ain't going to happen. I think a few papers have picked up on this. Doesn't look like it's going to happen for him there. It looks like it's just fizzling out, that move. His camp apparently are unhappy with the way he's been treated, and you can understand why. He's not really getting many minutes. I think it's Flores, isn't it? Cinco Flores, who's the manager there, obviously doesn't rate him. Sevilla, I think, are about 16th in the league, and they're struggling. But despite all that, he's still not getting any minutes, and it makes you feel like he's just not going to stay there permanently. I can't imagine a scenario where they bring him in permanently. Let me know what you think. Do you want to see Hannibal Mejbri coming back to this club? He was flavour of the month, wasn't he? A few months ago. Remember when he got that goal against Brighton and he put in that good performance against Burnley? The manager was praising him. Everything looked rosy. He goes out on loan and it's a bit of a disastrous loan spell. And I think, yeah, it's going to be a difficult one for him. I think the best thing for him might be to come back to Manchester United in the summer, get a pre-season under his belt, and then we can take stock whether he's given another chance here or he goes out on another loan move or we sell him permanently. But at the moment, his stock is quite low. Just before I wrap up, I just want to talk about one thing. The story doing the rounds about 2 arrests being made at Old Trafford for tragedy chanting. I think a couple of Manchester United fans were arrested for what you call tragedy chanting. Listen, I've got no time for this. I've seen a lot of videos doing the rounds of people. I saw one lad who was pushing his face to mock Hillsborough. I've seen another video doing the rounds of a Liverpool fan with doing the Munich, doing the airplane sign. And it's just got to get stopped, man. It's got to get stopped on all fronts. We've seen it here at Old Trafford loads of time, people doing fans doing airplane gestures and all the rest of it. And I know there was certain fans doing tragedy chants from United end at the weekend, and we need to stop it. It doesn't get anyone anywhere, and we're better than that. As a Manchester United fan, I feel we're better than that. I know we're better than that. I think the atmosphere here on Sunday was one of the best atmospheres I have ever been at. It was one of the best atmospheres I've ever seen and one of the best games I've ever been at as a United fan who's been coming here for over 40 years. And you don't want to get it spoiled by a minority who do these tragedy chants. The press pick up on it, and that becomes a story that everyone focuses on. Not the great atmosphere, not the fantastic football, not the great result, not the fact that we beat Jurgen Klopp in his last season and knocked him out of the FA Cup and stopped him doing the quadruple. People want to focus on this, and we don't want to give him an opportunity to focus on it, so let's just stop doing it. And I know people are going, come on, Jay, man, they started at what are we, 5? I don't want to hear about who started or what started it. From a Manchester United point of view, we're better than that. We've got the best fans in the world, and this tragedy chanting, which I can't even believe is a thing, needs to just stop. So let's just stop, move on. Let other fans and other fan bases worry about that, what they're doing. But as Man United fans, we're the best fans in the world, and we need to stop that nonsense. Anyway, I'm going to wrap it up there. That's enough of me preaching. Make sure you are hitting like, share, and subscribe. I want to get to 750,000 subscribers by the end of the season, and with your support, we can do it. We've got a big interview coming up later on today. We've got Mike McGrath from The Telegraph, so make sure you're checking that one out. I've been Jay Motty. This has been The Paper Talk outside a very sunny Old Trafford. Thanks for watching.